Good afternoon, evening, boob tube. I'm back with the Bill 69 report, the ninth entry, and it was a little way late today because I had some stuff to do on the computer earlier in the day, and then we had snow overnight. It's mostly gone now, and the sun's come out, but it was just like a depressing kind of morning where it was like outside in the shorts and shirts all week and barbecuing and playing ball hockey in the backyard, and then you wake up to a whole bunch of white crap on the ground. So that was not fun. But anyways, I finally went back through the archives and dug up entry number 9, and this was posted originally on September 21st of 2018, so just a couple months after our previous completion one. So this one went really quickly, and this one features 3 Capcom games, all from the Disney series. So we kind of ran with that theme for this post and just got a few more of those Disney games under our belts. So the first one was released on the NES in 1992, and it features a certain duck who moonlights as a superhero. And if you don't know this cartoon from back in the day during the whole Disney block of shows, it's definitely worth a watch. It's just as good as DuckTales and all the other ones, and Rescue Rangers and such. And the name of this game is Darkwing Duck. Like I said, Darkwing Duck, his real name is Drake Mallard. He moonlights during the evenings as a caped crime fighter in his hometown of St. Canard, and he has a little daughter, and Launchpad McQuack, who we also know is in the DuckTales series, is his personal pilot. And so in this game, it's just classic Darkwing Duck. Jay Gander Hoover, or whatever his name is, from the Shush Agency, who Darkwing is affiliated with, I guess, reports to Drake about a crime wave in the city. So then you're presented at the start of the game with a map with 3 locations of the city that you can visit and investigate them in any order, and you battle through that location, defeat the boss, and move on to the next location. Once the first 3 locations are done, there's 3 more added that you can go and then do. And then in the final level, you actually go up to the flying fortress, or the floating fortress, which is run by your ultimate boss in the game, Steelbeak. So along the way, the enemies you face they're all animalistic in nature, different types of animals. Most of them alive, some of them mechanized. And the enemies you face in the game are like his classic nemesis. There's Bushroot and the Liquidator. Who are the other guys? Omega Volt is probably the one I remember the most, and then the 3 other guys, I forget their names at the moment because my brain doesn't work all that well anymore. But yeah, so you just make your way through the game. There's pickups you can get. Darkwing's main weapon is like this gun that he carries, and you can get different pickups along the way that change the nature and the potency of his guns to do different things, and also you can get ammo refills to keep his gun stocked up. You can also get free men, which are the little icons of Darkwing Duck, and there are also some health pickups that you can get, and I think score pickups as well. But yeah, so you battle through those first 3 locations, then the next 3, and then you're off to face the final enemy in the floating fortress, and you've beaten the game and saved St. Canard again. Second game, Darkwing Duck I had never played before. I think I was aware that it existed, the game, but I just never played it. The second game I didn't even know existed, and it was released for the NES in 1991, and is another, again, Disney staple from back in the day of their great TV shows that they had on in the 80s and 90s, and it is called Tailspin. The story of Tailspin is Baloo the bear from the Jungle Book. Is kind of this roguish, kind of charming, but kind of lazy bear who's looking for work, and he takes this little kind of ne'er-do-well named Kit Cloudkicker under his wing to try and straighten him out. And then but Baloo has to get a job, and so him and his plane, the Sea Duck, start working for this lady named Rebecca, who has started up like a shipping transporting company. And the series is just basically the adventures him and Clit that's not good, him and Kit have on on these runs that he does delivering cargo. There's all sorts of dangers that he faces along the way. So the story behind this game is pretty classic. So Rebecca's giving you a bunch of assignments. You have to go out in the Sea Duck, make all your deliveries, and fend off all of the pirates and other dangers that come your way. And the main opposition is Shere Khan the Tiger, who has his own shipping interests. So he's trying to get you to fail so that he can have the monopoly and whatnot. And he's hired the pirate Don Carnage to provide most of the resistance that you're going to find throughout the game. So unlike Darkwing Duck, which is a platformer game where you control just a character, in this game you actually control a Sea Duck. So the screen's always moving, and because your plane's always in action, so you have to kind of navigate the areas that you're in and avoid all the people shooting at you. Most of the enemies are airborne enemies, other planes and such. Some of them are more stationary, like there might be turrets on the ground or boats down in the water that are shooting up at you. But yeah, you just have to blast your way through each level and survive and get through to the final boss. And then once you've got through all 8 levels, you face the final challenge, who is Don Carnage, of course, the pirate, and you won the game. So pickups along the way, you can get fruit, which I think increases your points. You can get different types of monetary items, which increases your bank account. And then, of course, there is there free men? I think there might be some free men pickups as well. And then at the end of each level, your pilot, the crazy guy Wildcat, he will present you with options for... he'll present you with options for upgrades to the Sea Duck. So all the it's important to collect all the monetary items you can throughout the level, because then you can then apply it towards these items. You can put it towards free extra lives and extra continues, but you can also put it towards the Sea Duck, which will increase the rate of fire on your gun, increase your armor, increase your engine speed, that sort of thing. So there's that kind of little bit of a wrinkle in the game to get you thinking and prioritize what you want to do. But yeah, anyways, you battle through the 6 levels, and the bosses in these levels are kind of weird. They're like a weird floating head thing, a magician, an invisible magician, a baseball, a couple of Carnage's pirates, and yeah, no, there's no floating head. The floating head I thought was the magician, yeah. And then, yeah, so the bosses are kind of weird, but in the end, you battle through the 6 levels, the 6 bosses, and in the end, you face Don Carnage to get the monkey off your back, so to speak, and make your life a lot easier. So, that's Tailspin. The third game, I was so pumped for when I got it, because I had no idea it ever was made back when I was a kid. And considering it's a sequel to one of my very favorite Disney games of all time, probably the favorite. It would be a toss-up between DuckTales. But, so when I found it, I was just like, oh my god, this is awesome. So this was released for the NES in 1994, and this is Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers 2. Being a sequel to the first Rescue Rangers game, it's very similar in look and feel and gameplay and everything. It's just a new adventure in different places. The story behind it is that you get wind of a tip that there's a bomb planted in a restaurant downtown somewhere. And so you go out to find this bomb and see who's behind it and stop anybody from getting hurt. As you start your adventure, you learn that Fat Cat just got out of jail. And as the game unfolds even further, you learn that he's in search of the Urn of the Pharaohs, which is an item that he plans on using to release a bunch of malevolent spirits and help them have them help him take over the world or whatever he's trying to do. And so you just have to go out on an adventure and set Fat Cat straight once more. So there are 9 levels in this game, and unlike the first game where you had the map option and you could choose your direction in terms of what levels you do, this was just 9 straight levels. They take place in the restaurant, in the sewers, inside of a refrigerator, where else? In a clock tower. So, and again, you're little, everything else is big, so it's this different kind of perspective. your main opponents are all, again, animalistic in nature, just like with Darkwing Duck and such. And sometimes they're mechanized, most times they're not. And then the bosses at the end of each level are just kind of versions of various types of those animals on steroids, basically. And in the end, once you get through all 9 levels, you face Fat Cat, but you don't actually face Fat Cat himself. You face a robotic version of him, I guess. And if you can defeat him, then you've averted disaster for the time being. So, pickups in this game, you can get very rare acorns, which restore your health. Stars, which are a free life, and which again are also very rare. The most common one are Rescue Rangers badges, and after you pick up a number of them, it's quite a bit you have to pick up, your health bar will increase by 1 heart, so it kind of gives you a little extra flexibility in getting hit, and helps you live a little longer, which you need as the game gets longer and gets a bit harder, of course. So, but again, these 3 games, all taking place in the Disney universe, which I love. As a kid in the late 80s and early 90s, I was glued to the TV to watch the Disney block and all those shows. And although I didn't have all these games when I was a kid, I had a couple of them, and then I had other friends who had a couple more, so I was very familiar with them. I loved them. Capcom, of course, being the issuer of all these titles and the developer, there's no issue at all with any of them. They all look fantastic, they sound amazing, they control great, and most importantly, they're fun as hell. Now, Darkwing Duck and Tailspin, of course, are only 1 player, but Rescue Rangers has that 2-player option, which makes it even better. So these 3 games, if you love old games and you love Disney, you cannot miss with any of these games, or any of the previous Disney games I've mentioned in prior posts. So that's it for Bill 69, entry number 9. I will be back on Monday after the Easter weekend, which is going to be a really weird one with everybody having to stay inside and whatnot. But hey, it's all a long weekend right now for a lot of people. So I'm not even sure if it's going to feel any different, but we'll find out soon. And either way, I'll be back on Monday with another post. Until then, have a great rest of the week and weekend. I don't know what day it is anymore.